What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I want to go over 5 teams that I could potentially see trading for Zach LaVine, whether that's before the season or when the trade deadline rolls around in the middle of next season. Who could trade for Zach LaVine? That's coming up here in just a second, but let's get you guys involved on today's show early. Where will LaVine play next season? Predict it for me. As if I had to still, predict it myself, I'm still assuming the Chicago Bulls there are, too many reasons why it is very hard to trade this man right here. But you guys let me know. Where will LaVine play next season? Let me know your thoughts down below. But why is LaVine so hard to trade? And the biggest reason here is because of his contract. And it is brutal. And, more specifically for the Chicago Bulls and actually the team that is trading for him. But here is cap hits over the next 3 seasons. $43, $46, and $49 million. And in 26, it is a player option. But this is the kicker for the Bulls. He has a 15% trade bonus. So you take 15% of each 3 of these figures. The Bulls are going to have to pay that to him over the next 3 years, not the team that trades for him. It's going to be coming out of the Bulls front office pockets. And, as we know, Jerry Reinsdorf is the cheapest owner in the NBA. He hates even sniffing the luxury tax. So if you're adding 15% of those 3 cap hits to the Bulls salary cap over the next 3 years, it is just going to be a disaster for this team. But I fully don't expect LaVine to be traded. I just think if a deal was going to happen and come to fruition, it would have already happened by now. But I still think there is a chance. Trade deadline rolls around, a team could trade for LaVine. So I got 5 teams here. And let's start off with, I don't think this is the likely option. This is in no order in particular. But what about the Golden State Warriors? Now, they did just strike out on the Lauri Markkanen sweepstakes as he returned to the Utah Jazz on a 5-year mega extension. And, they were fully involved in those. But the way the Warriors are set up right now, they are fully in play to make a massive deal at the deadline. Now, I don't think Zach LaVine is going to be their, shining prize, as if they get LaVine on their team, then it's like, oh, the Warriors are contenders. But let's just say they strike out again at this upcoming year trade deadline where they don't get their big fish that they're looking for. They could view LaVine as a fallback second option, which I'll tell you what, LaVine in that, free-flowing, constant movement offense that the Golden State Warriors have, I think it would make a lot of sense. And also, Steve Kerr loves Zach LaVine. He's raved about him as he was his coach on the Olympic team about 5 or 4 years ago. So I could see the Warriors getting involved, but again, very unlikely. If this was going to go down, it would probably be at the trade deadline. But the team that I think is most likely to trade for Zach LaVine is the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, after what the Lakers front office probably saw during the Olympics of LeBron and Anthony Davis both playing like top 10 players in the world and seeing the roster they have constructed around them, they need a tertiary scorer. They need a guy who can get buckets over the top of the defense. As still, even though LeBron was a great shooter this past season, shot over 40% from downtown, it is still super key for them to add a tertiary scorer because AD, LeBron, they work out of the paint, they work out of that low block majority of the time. So I could really see them looking at LaVine as a potential option. So what could a trade look like? Well, how about this? The Bulls would be receiving Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, and Gabe Vincent. And the Bulls would be sending Zach LaVine, Torrey Craig, and the 2025 first-round pick from the Portland Trailblazers. This is lottery protected. I don't think it's going to come to fruition and convey. So this is necessarily just a throw-in pick, icing on the cake for the Bulls just to sweeten that offer. But you may be saying, why would the Bulls want D'Angelo Russell at all, or even Gabe Vincent, as they already a guard-heavy roster? Well, they could do what the Portland Trailblazers did last year, where you take on Drew Holiday, you ship him to the Boston Celtics, and I'm not saying you're going to get 2 firsts like Portland did for Holiday, but maybe you get a heavily protected first-round pick, and I think that would be a win for the Bulls. But I do think the Lakers are most likely to trade for LaVine. You have that Clutch Sports connection with Rich Paul, as he is damn near the de facto, GM for the Lakers, it feels like. But, I think they saw how good LeBron and AD were still in the Olympics. They're still playing top 10 player in the world caliber basketball. They just need that third guy. They need that third star next to him. So maybe I'm just giving a pitch to Rich Paul, Rob Pelinka, and the whole Lakers front office right now. But, hey, Lakers, come trade for Zach LaVine. I guarantee you will work out. But how about this? The other Los Angeles team, the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, weirdest offseason award goes to the Clippers, in my opinion. I have no idea what direction they were trying to go towards. They were so, adamant on not giving Paul George that 4th or 5th year on an extension. They would only go the 3. And now it leaves this roster needing more talent. So the trade idea I cooked up was, what about the Bulls getting Norman Powell, PJ Tucker? Obviously, Tucker's just there to help match contract as him opting into that $11 million player option was just dirty work by him. But, I respect him chasing his bag there. But then the Clippers would be getting Zach LaVine and also that Portland Trailblazers pick. And listen, I'm not sure what the Clippers are doing. They let Paul George walk, and they bring in guys like Derrick Jones, Bull. Like, they just got a bunch of, margin moves this offseason. So maybe they're looking at LaVine as a guy that you could pair up next to Harden and Kawhi Leonard. Again, none of these teams really make too much sense as why Zach LaVine has not been traded yet. But hey, Steve Ballmer, he likes to swing big. He likes making massive trades. So maybe Zach LaVine is next up on his list. But we'll get to 2 more teams here in a second. But first off, I just want to say thank you guys so much for everybody who has subscribed to the channel so far. We're closing in on 10K, and my goal is to hit 10K before the season begins. But we need 420 more of you guys to subscribe to the channel. So lock us in and subscribe today. We'll get to those 2 teams here in a second, but first off, got to give a massive shout out to today's sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. If you guys use promo code CLNS on your first deposit, we will match it up to $100. Now, PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. So get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. Now, if you guys want to line up for week 1 of the football season, I got one for you guys. Caleb Williams, more on his 236.5 passing yards. Justin Jefferson, more on his 89.5 receiving yards. Then Caleb's going to be finding DJ a whole lot during week 1. So I'm going to ride with the more on his 63.5 receiving yards. But download the PrizePicks app today and use that promo code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, run your game. Now, this is my dark horse here. The Denver Nuggets. Now, it was actually Bleacher Report who suggested a Nuggets-Bulls trade for Zach LaVine the other day, and it was a blockbuster, and it's honestly something I've never even thought about, is Denver getting ultra-aggressive and trying to bring in another star next to Murray and Jokic. But this was the trade idea they cooked up. Got a lot of thoughts on this. Not a fan of the Bulls giving up any of their future draft capital. That 2029 first-round pick is most likely going to be in the top 3. So it is top 3 protected. So, even if it is, it would convey to the Bulls. But it would have the Bulls receiving Michael Porter Jr. and Zeke Naji. Now, I don't think the Nuggets would want to move off Porter for LaVine, as that would make them one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA. You're not going to roll out LaVine, Murray, and Jokic. You wouldn't be able to guard a D1 college basketball team with that lineup. But, from the Bulls' perspective here, I could see the Bulls flipping Michael Porter, just like the same argument I made for Drew Holiday when he went to the Portland Trailblazers. I think Porter would have a lot of value on the open market where maybe you could swing a couple first-round picks for his talent. But Denver Nuggets are an interesting one. Maybe they just get super aggressive at the deadline and, the Russell Westbrook experiment goes bad and they're only about 5 games over 500. I could see that, being a scenario that plays out. But my 5th team here, and this was one of my worst takes I think I had on the channel. For the longest time here, if you guys have been watching for a while, I have had the Spurs as my dark horse to trade for Zach LaVine because it makes a lot of sense to me. And if I was running the Spurs, I would really consider this because what are LaVine's red flags? It's his contract, and then it's his, leadership and defense. Well, with the Spurs right now, Victor Wembanyama is still on that rookie deal, very similar to how we see NFL teams get ultra aggressive in free agency and the trade market when they have a star QB on their rookie deal. I could see the Spurs making the same moves, but also with his red flags around his defense and leadership, you get him in that Spurs culture, you get him around Greg Popovich, you got Chris Paul in that room as well. Like, I could see them really getting the most out of a guy like LaVine, and plus him defensively, you have Wemby. You have the best defensive player in the league for the next 10 seasons. I still think it makes a lot of sense. This was my, bold take of the offseason, but obviously didn't end up, coming to fruition. But these are the 5 teams that I could see trading for Zach LaVine. And what's most likely going to happen is that it's going to be a wild card team that we have never talked about trading for LaVine, like the Hornets or the Pistons or, one of those teams. But these were the 5 that I cooked up. But again, it's a trade is probably not going to happen. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, give me a real one down below in the comment section so I can know who watched this entire thing and I can show you guys, some love down there. So make sure you guys give me a real one if you watch this whole thing. And also give me a follow on Twitter. That's a handle @PatSieps. And thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time. Go Bulls.